When I bought my Blackmagic Pocket 4K, one of the first things I looked online was, should I use Blackmagic RAW or ProRes? In the end, I jumped on the Blackmagic RAW team because I was very excited about this format. It's almost like raw footage, so you have a lot of control when color grading in post, but depending on the compression you use, the files can be almost the same weight as ProRes. So I feel like this format is here to stay, and I've been using it on all my recent videos and short films. And I love using my Blackmagic Pocket 4K. I love using B-RAW. Everything was fine, except there was this one issue that I thought was very annoying. And it turns out using ProRes seems to be the fix. So let's have a look. So as you know, you can choose between different resolutions when filming with this camera. The highest resolution is 4K and the lowest is 1080p. And if you look at the top row over here, you have three choices when it comes to recording in 4K. The main difference is that they use different aspect ratios. For this video, I'll use Ultra HD because it's the same aspect ratio as 1080p and it'll be easier to compare the two. Here's my footage in Ultra HD, but look what happens when I film in 2K. In this footage, I didn't move the camera or adjust the lens at all, but you can tell that the image is more zoomed in. That's because we're now cropping inside the camera's sensor. And if I switch to 1080p, it becomes even worse. So basically you have your micro four thirds sensor, but when we're filming in 1080p, we're just cropping inside that sensor. And I feel like there's a few side effects to this. The image seems a tad blurrier and the grain becomes more noticeable as well. So that's also something that I noticed when I recorded this video, which was filmed in 2K. I was surprised with how blurry the image looked. Part of it is because I'm using a zoom lens, so those are less sharp for sure. But to me, there was still something off going on with the 2K and 1080p footage. So I ended up switching to Ultra HD when filming projects afterwards, so the image would be crisper and less blurry. But the problem when filming in Ultra HD is my files became much heavier. And again, for people out there that have a server or a brand new computer with a lot of space, it's not an issue, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to make film and content. And like me, they have kind of an old computer with not a lot of space. So that can become a big deal. So now I'm going to show you ProRes footage in Ultra HD. And if you're using ProRes, you can use the full sensor even when filming in 1080p, which is something you can't do with Blackmagic RAW on this camera. And now let's try a final test. So here I'm going to look at the 1080p footage filmed in Blackmagic RAW, which was heavily cropped in the sensor. And I'm going to try to recreate the same shot using ProRes 1080p. And this time I'll actually have to move my camera closer to the subject to try to match it as best as I can. And I'm sure you can tell the difference. The ProRes 1080p looks less blurry and has less noise overall. So I'm very happy with this fix, but it does mean I'll be switching to ProRes. I really want to give a shout out to the people that taught me about this. I mentioned this issue in my review of the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and two people left the most useful comment I've ever seen. So a huge thanks to both of you guys. It really blew my mind when I tested it out and it turned out to be real. To be clear, I still love Blackmagic RAW and it was really fun to use it for color grading. Eventually, I will get a new computer for sure, and when I have more space, I'm really hoping I can switch back to Blackmagic RAW and filming in Ultra HD, but in the meantime, ProRes is a great solution for me to save space. Actually, if we compare the file sizes here, you can tell that Blackmagic RAW and ProRes are pretty similar. All of these footages are roughly the same length, but keep in mind that this is Blackmagic RAW at the highest compression, which is 12:1. And here you'll see that Blackmagic RAW Ultra HD is roughly 4 times bigger than ProRes 1080p. So that's going to make a big difference. I'm excited to see how I'll be able to handle ProRes, especially when it comes to color grading. I actually think it won't be so bad. I'm sure a lot of you know the YouTuber of Two Lens. To me, the footage that he shares online is some of the best looking stuff using Blackmagic cameras. And in one of his older grading videos, he said he was using ProRes. So I know you can get great looking results with this format. And in case you're wondering, yes, this video you're watching right now was filmed in ProRes 422, 1080p. So yeah, that's another example of what this looks like. So that's it for this video. I felt I had to follow up after my Blackmagic Pocket 4K review because I was mentioning the sensor crop as the biggest flaw of this camera, and now I know there's a way around it. If you want to watch my Blackmagic Pocket 4K review, you can watch it over here. Hope you'll stick around and see you next time.